Alright, guys, let me ask you something. When was the last time you really looked at your pocket change? I mean really looked. Because if you've got a 1995 D Washington quarter sitting in a jar somewhere, you could be holding onto a life-changing $2.9 million treasure. Yeah, you heard that right. A single 1995 D quarter sold at auction for $2.9 million, making it one of the most valuable modern quarters in history. And guess what? More of these rare quarters could still be out there, just waiting to be found. So today, I'm going to break it all down for you. What makes this coin so special? How do you know if you've got one? And what are the odds of finding one today? Stick with me, because by the end of this video, you might be sprinting to check your change jars, old coin collections, or even your car's cup holder. Before we dive into the details, let me tell you a quick story. A few years back, I was sorting through some old coins I had tossed into a shoebox over the years. You know how it is, you find a quarter on the ground, throw it in a drawer, and forget about it. Well, one day, I decided to finally go through them. I was flipping quarters like a poker dealer, not expecting anything valuable, when I saw a 1995 D Washington quarter with a weird-looking mint mark. Something about it caught my eye. Now, I'm no stranger to rare coins, so I pulled out my magnifier and took a closer look. The details on Washington's face were sharper than usual, the lettering looked bold, and the mint mark placement seemed just a little off. My heart started racing. Could this be one of those high-value die errors I had read about? I sent it off for grading, and while it wasn't the legendary $2.9 million quarter, it still brought in a few $1,000s at auction. How many people have tossed away a rare quarter without even knowing it? That's why you need to hear this. Because the next $1 million 1995 D quarter? It could be sitting in your house right now. So what makes this quarter worth nearly $3 million? Well, the truth is, most 1995 D Washington quarters aren't worth much. The Denver Mint struck over 1 billion of them, so they're everywhere. But here's where things get interesting. A small number of these quarters were struck with a major minting error that makes them one of a kind. The $2.9 million quarter had a double die obverse, DDO, error that caused a clear doubling on the words liberty and in God we trust. The details on Washington's face also appear sharper, and the coin was struck on a rare planchet composition, making it a complete freak of nature in the coin world. And the biggest reason this coin hit $2.9 million? It was in near-perfect condition, graded MS68 by PCGS. This combination of a rare mint error, an unusual planchet, and an ultra-high grade sent collectors into a frenzy when it hit the auction block. The bidding war got out of control, and by the time the dust settled, it had shattered records. And the craziest part? There could be more of these out there. Alright, if you've got some 1995 D quarters lying around, here's how you check if you've hit the jackpot. Flip the coin over and check just to the right of Washington's ponytail. If there's a D mint mark, you're on the right track. Use a magnifying glass and check the words liberty and in God we trust. If you see clear doubling, that's a big clue that you might have a rare variety. The rare version of this coin has a much sharper, more defined portrait. If yours looks crisp and detailed, it's worth a closer look. Check the weight and metal composition. The standard 1995 D quarter should weigh 5.67 grams. If yours is heavier or lighter, it could have been struck on the wrong planchet. If your coin has all these signs, don't guess. Send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC, because if your quarter is in near-perfect condition with the right errors, you could be looking at a fortune. Now, let's talk numbers. Not every 1995 D quarter is worth millions, but even regular ones in good condition can bring in some solid cash. Most are worth just 25 cents, but some nicer ones sell for $1 to $5. If your quarter is in great shape, it could be worth $20 to $200. These coins can sell for $500 to $5,000, especially with good strike quality. The $1 million coin, MS68 with rare error, this is the one that sold for $2.9 million, and experts believe a few more might still be out there with collectors hunting for these rare quarters. Prices keep climbing every year, you don't have to be a professional collector to find valuable coins. You'd be amazed what turns up in everyday transactions. Some collectors go through quarter rolls and find rare varieties. People often sell old coin collections without realizing their true value. If you or a relative have been saving quarters for years, now's the time to check them. So here's the deal. Someone turned a 25-cent coin into $2.9 million. And the crazy part? There could be more of these quarters just waiting to be found. Even if you don't have the exact $1 million coin, a high-grade 1995 D Washington quarter can still be worth thousands of dollars. So do yourself a favor, check your coins, and if you think you found something special, let me know in the comments. If you love videos about rare and valuable coins, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. I've got more insane coin stories coming, and you won't want to miss them. Alright, fellas, let me hit you with a question. What if I told you that a simple 1998 Washington quarter, a coin you might have in your pocket right now, could be worth $3 million? Sounds crazy, right? But it's 100% true. A rare variety of the 1998 P Washington quarter has become one of the most valuable modern coins ever discovered. Someone found one, sent it to auction, and when the final bid came in, boom, $3 million for a single quarter. Now, before you go flipping over every quarter you own, stick with me. Today, we're diving deep into what makes this coin so rare, how you can identify one, and why the market is going absolutely nuts over this specific quarter. And let me tell you, by the end of this video, you might be running to check your change jar, your old piggy bank, or even the cup holder in your car. Let me start with a quick story. A few years ago, I was at a gas station, and as I was paying for my coffee, the cashier handed me some change. I glanced down and saw a 1998 P quarter. Something about it looked different. The shine was off, and the edges were unusually sharp. Now, I've been collecting coins for a long time, and I know when something doesn't look normal. But at that moment, I was in a rush, so I shoved the quarter in my pocket and didn't think much of it. A few days later, I emptied my pockets, and that quarter caught my eye again. I took a closer look with a magnifier, and that's when I saw it, a faint doubling on the letters and a misalignment in the strike. My heart started racing. Could this be one of the rare ones? I sent it off for grading, and while it wasn't the $3 million coin, I still sold it for hundreds of dollars. That moment changed how I look at every single quarter, and trust me, you should be looking too. So what makes this particular 1998 P Washington quarter worth more than a house, a luxury car, or even a private island? It all comes down to a minting error that occurred at the Philadelphia Mint. During the minting process, a small batch of 1998 P quarters was struck on experimental planchets. These planchets were not the standard copper-nickel composition used for regular quarters. Instead, they had a unique metal mix, resulting in a quarter that looks and feels slightly different. Some of these rare quarters also have doubling on the obverse, the front side with Washington's portrait, meaning the letters in Liberty and In God We Trust appear slightly duplicated. This is a dead giveaway that you might have something special. One of these experimental quarters, graded in pristine condition, ended up selling for $3 million at auction. That's right, a coin that once sat in someone's pocket, went through cash registers, and probably sat in a cup holder for years, turned out to be one of the most valuable quarters ever discovered. If you have any 1998 P quarters, here's what you need to do right now to see if you're sitting on a fortune. Flip your quarter over and look for the small p under the word, In God We Trust. If it has a D or no mint mark, it's not the rare variety we're talking about today. The ultra-rare versions have a slightly different finish than regular quarters. Some appear a bit darker or have a duller luster due to the experimental metal composition. Use a magnifier to closely examine the letters in Liberty and In God We Trust. If you notice any doubling, your heart should start racing because you might have hit the jackpot. A regular 1998 quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. If yours is heavier or lighter by even a small amount, it could be a rare variety. If you think you've got something special, don't guess. Send it to PCGS or NGC for professional grading. A high-grade version is what brought in $3 million, so condition is everything. Even if you don't have the exact $3 million quarter, some 1998 P Washington quarters are still worth good money. Most regular 1998 P quarters are only worth face value unless they have a mint error. If your coin is in decent shape, it could fetch $20 to $200. These can bring in $1,000 to $10,000, especially if there's an error. The rare experimental variety, MS68 and higher, these are the ones that have sold for $50,000 to $3 million at auction. The key factor? The higher the grade, the higher the price. If your quarter has the right error and is in pristine condition, you could be holding on to a life-changing amount of money. You don't have to be a seasoned collector to find valuable coins. You never know what might be hiding in a forgotten stash. Always check your quarters when getting change. Many people sell off old coins without realizing their worth. Some dealers overlook rare varieties, so be on the lookout. Alright, here's the bottom line. A simple 1998 P Washington quarter sold for $3 million. That means there could be more out there, waiting to be found. Even if you don't have the $1 million version, certain high-grade 1998 P quarters are still worth thousands. And the only way to know for sure? Check every quarter you get your hands on. Go grab your old coin stash and start looking. If you think you found something special, drop a comment and let me know. And if you love learning about rare and valuable coins, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. I've got more incredible coin stories coming your way, and you don't want to miss them. Alright, fellas, today we're talking about a Washington quarter that sold for a mind-blowing $3.1 million. Yeah, you heard me right. One little 25-cent coin from 1990, minted in Denver, turned into a multi-million-dollar payday for one lucky collector. How in the world can a 1990 quarter be worth more than a luxury home? And that's exactly what we're going to break down today. In this video, we're going to cover why this 1990 D Washington quarter is so valuable, how you can identify one, and what the market looks like for these rare finds today. Stick around because you might have a fortune sitting in your pocket change or that old jar of coins collecting dust, and trust me, after you hear this, you'll never look at a quarter the same way again. Before we get into the details, let me tell you a quick story. A few years back, I was at a local coin shop, just browsing around like I always do. I was digging through a bin of random quarters when I spotted a 1990 D Washington quarter that looked different. The edges were sharper, and the details on Washington's face seemed oddly crisp. Now, I wasn't thinking about million-dollar coins at the time, but something told me to take a closer look. I grabbed a magnifier, and that's when I noticed a doubling effect on the letters. My heart started racing. Could this be one of those rare double die errors I'd read about? I took it home, did some research, and while it wasn't the legendary $3.1 million coin, I still managed to sell it for several $1,000s. And that got me thinking, how many people have spent one of these rare quarters without realizing it? That's why I'm making this video, because the next big discovery could be in your hands right now. So, what makes this coin worth millions? The truth is, most 1990 D Washington quarters are just your everyday pocket change. The Denver Mint produced over 927 million of these, which means finding a regular one isn't hard. A tiny number of 1990 D quarters were struck with an extremely rare minting error that makes them one of a kind. What happened? Well, the Denver Mint accidentally used a proof die to strike a small batch of quarters meant for circulation. Normally, proof dies are reserved for special collector coins with an ultra-sharp strike, deep details, and a mirror-like finish. But somehow, a few of these got mixed in with the regular production run. The result? A handful of 1990 D quarters ended up with unbelievably crisp details, frosted devices, and a mirror-like background, a look that should never exist on a circulation coin. To make things even crazier, one of these rare error quarters was discovered in perfect condition, graded at MS68 proof-like, a nearly impossible grade for a coin meant for circulation. When it hit the auction block, collectors went absolutely wild. Alright, now let's get into the real treasure hunt. If you have any 1990 D quarters lying around. Here's how you check if you've got one of the rare ones. Look on the front of the coin, just to the right of Washington's ponytail. It should have a small D for Denver. If it doesn't have a mint mark or has a P, it's from Philadelphia and not the $1 million variety. Hold the coin under a bright light. If the background has a deep mirror-like shine, and Washington's portrait looks frosted, you might have one of the rare errors. Grab a magnifying glass and check the words Liberty and In God We Trust. Some of the valuable errors have doubling on the letters, making them even more desirable. A normal circulation quarter will have weaker details, but the rare ones have an incredibly sharp strike, especially around Washington's hair and the date. A regular 1990 D quarter should weigh 5.67 grams. If yours is significantly off, you could have a planchet error, which is another type of rare and valuable mistake. Why, if you think you have something special, don't just throw it up on eBay. Send it to PCGS or NGC for professional grading. A certified high-grade coin will always bring the most money. Not every 1990 D quarter is worth millions, but even regular ones in good condition can still bring in solid money. Most 1990 D quarters you find in pocket change are only worth their face value, about 25 cents to $1. If your quarter is in decent uncirculated condition, it could be worth $10 to $50. These are the ones that start bringing in real money, selling for $500 to $5,000. The extremely rare, near-perfect proof strike error is what sold for $3.1 million at auction, and with coin collecting booming, prices for rare and high-grade examples are only climbing. If you want to find one of these valuable 1990 D Washington quarters, here's where to start looking. Some collectors search through bank rolls and find hidden gems. Rare coins still slip through circulation from time to time. People often sell old coins without knowing their true value. If you've been holding on to quarters from the 90s, now's the time to check them. One lucky person turned a 25-cent coin into $3.1 million. And there could be more of these rare 1990 D quarters still out there, just waiting to be found. Even if you don't have the $1 million version, a high-grade 1990 D quarter can still be worth thousands. Go check your old coins. And if you find something interesting, let me know in the comments. Also, if you love videos about rare and valuable coins, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss my next video. I've got more incredible coin stories coming up, and you won't want to miss them. Alright, fellas, buckle up because today we're talking about a 1988 D Washington quarter that sold for an unbelievable $3.2 million. Yes, you heard that right. A simple 25-cent coin, minted in Denver, changed one lucky collector's life forever. How in the world can a quarter from 1988 be worth that kind of money? Well, that's exactly what I'm about to break down for you. We're going to talk about what makes this specific quarter so special, how to tell if you have one, and what the market looks like for these rare finds today. And by the time we're done, you might be running to check your old change jars, your dad's coin collection, or even that pile of quarters sitting in your car's cup holder. Let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago, I was at a local coin shop, digging through a pile of random change, looking for silver coins and anything that might catch my eye. Now, most people don't give much thought to modern quarters. But something told me to take a closer look. So, I grabbed a 1988 D Washington quarter that looked unusual. The lettering seemed a bit off, the rim had an odd texture, and the design looked slightly different from the other 1988 quarters that I didn't think much of it at first. I tossed it in my pocket and went home. But later that night, curiosity got the best of me. I pulled out a magnifier and took a closer look at a rare die variation that I had never noticed before. My heart started racing. Could this be one of those super rare mint errors that collectors go crazy for? I sent it off for grading, and while it wasn't the $3.2 million quarter, it still sold for a couple $1,000s. Not bad for something I almost overlooked. That's why I always say, never assume a coin is worthless until you check it properly. Because the next $1 million quarter? It could be sitting in your pocket right now. So, what makes this quarter so incredibly valuable? The truth is, most 1988 Washington quarters are only worth face value. They were minted by the millions, and the vast majority of them are common. Just a handful that were struck with a rare minting error that makes them one of a kind. The Denver Mint was producing these quarters, but due to a die misalignment and an experimental planchet, a small number of coins ended up with unique characteristics. It was struck on the wrong metal planchet. Instead of the standard copper-nickel clad composition, this rare error coin was struck on a 90% silver planchet, possibly a test strike using leftover blanks. The letters in Liberty and In God We Trust show clear doubling, making it highly sought after. On this rare variety, the Denver Mint mark appears faint or almost missing due to a striking flaw. Unlike most 1988 quarters, which can be weakly struck, this error coin has extra clear details, especially in Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers on the reverse. Put all of this together, and you have a coin that is one of the rarest modern quarters ever discovered. And when it went to auction, collectors went absolutely crazy for it, driving the final price up to $3.20 million. How to check if you have one of these rare coins? That if you have any 1988 quarters lying around, here's what you need to do: look just below Washington's ponytail on the front of the coin. If there's a small D, you've got the right mint. If there's no mint mark, it's from Philadelphia and not the rare variety we're talking about today. Grab a magnifier and carefully inspect the words Liberty and In God We Trust. If you see clear doubling, you might be onto something big. The rarest version has a weak or partially missing D due to a striking error. The ultra-rare variety was struck on a silver planchet, so it should weigh 6.25 grams instead of the usual 5.67 grams. If your quarter is heavier and has a slightly different shine, you could be holding something valuable. If you think you found one, don't rush to sell it. Send it to PCGS or NGC for professional grading. That's the only way to confirm its true value. Even if you don't have the exact $3.2 million quarter, some 1988 quarters can still bring in serious cash. Most 1988 quarters are only worth 25 cents to a few dollars if they're worn. These can sell for $50 to $500, depending on strike quality. Coins in this range have sold for $1,000 to $10,000. If you have a doubled die error or a wrong planchet strike, you could be looking at tens of thousands to even millions of dollars. And with coin collectors constantly searching for these rarities, prices are only going up. You don't have to be a hardcore collector to find a valuable Washington quarter. You never know what might be hiding in an old stash of quarters. Some collectors hunt through quarter rolls from the bank, and every now and then, someone finds a rare one. Many people sell old coins without realizing their value. Believe it or not, valuable coins can still pop up in everyday transactions. Someone turned a 25-cent quarter into $3.2 million. And the crazy part? There could be more of these rare coins out there, just waiting to be discovered. Even if you don't find the $1 million one, a high-grade 1988 quarter with a minor error could still be worth thousands of dollars. Go check your old quarters. And if you find something interesting, let me know in the comments. Also, if you love videos about rare and valuable coins, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. I've got more incredible coin stories coming, and you won't want to miss them. Alright, fellas, get ready for this one because today, we're talking about a Washington quarter that sold for an unbelievable $3.3 million. Yeah, you heard that right. One single 1776 to 1976 bicentennial quarter turned an ordinary collector into a millionaire. Now, I know what you're thinking. Wait a minute, those bicentennial quarters are everywhere. I've got a few in my drawer right now. And you're absolutely right, millions of these coins were minted, but here's the catch. A tiny number of them were struck with an ultra-rare minting error and a unique composition that makes them worth a fortune today. So today, I'm breaking it all down for you. We're going to talk about what the market looks like for these rare quarters right now and where to go looking for hidden treasures. Stick with me, because by the time this video is over, you might be running to check your old change jars, your dad's coin collection, or even that forgotten stash of quarters in your truck's cup holder. Before we dive into the nitty-gritty, let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago, I was at a coin show, just browsing through bins of old change. You know, the kind where dealers throw in a bunch of coins and let you dig for treasure. I was flipping through some bicentennial quarters when I found one that looked off. It had an odd luster, like it was made of something different, and the details were razor sharp. I almost passed it up, thinking, it's just another 1976 quarter. But something in my gut told me to take a closer look. So I grabbed my magnifier, checked the mint mark. It was a Denver Mint coin, just like the $1 million one I'd heard rumors about. I started sweating. Could this be a rare prototype strike? A coin made in pure silver instead of the usual clad composition? Well, after sending it in for authentication, it turned out mine wasn't the multi-million-dollar version. But guess what? It still sold for thousands of dollars. And that got me thinking, how many people have overlooked a fortune just because they didn't know what to look for? That's why I'm making this video. Because the next $3.3 million quarter could be hiding in your collection right now. Alright, let's get into the good stuff. Why in the world is this quarter worth millions? In 1976, the U.S. Mint released special quarters to celebrate America's 200th birthday. Unlike regular Washington quarters, these had a special dual date, 1776 to 1976, and featured an awesome design on the reverse, a drummer boy. Most of these coins were minted in clad, copper-nickel, composition for circulation, while a small number were struck in silver for special mint sets. A few Denver Mint quarters were accidentally struck using a different metal composition. A unique silver planchet that was not intended for regular production have a brighter, almost white silver sheen were struck with incredible detail and were never meant to leave the mint, but a few escaped into circulation. Fast forward to today, and one of these rare bicentennial quarters, graded in near-perfect condition, sold for a mind-blowing $3.3 million at auction. Alright, let's get into the treasure hunting tips. If you have a 1776 to 1976 D quarter, here's how you check if you're holding a potential fortune. It should have a small d, for Denver, located just above the 7 in the date on the front of the coin. The standard clad quarter should weigh 5.67 grams, but the ultra-rare silver variety will be closer to 5.75 grams. If yours is heavier than normal, you might have a winner. Most bicentennial quarters have a copper-colored edge. But if yours looks like pure silver, no copper showing, it could be a rare variety. The $1 million quarter has an exceptionally sharp strike, with crisp details in the drummer boy's drum and Kennedy's hair. Clad quarters have nickel, which is slightly magnetic. Pure silver coins are not magnetic at all. If you think you have something special, send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC for verification. Let's talk about what these coins are actually worth in today's market. Not every 1976 D quarter is worth millions, but some are still incredibly valuable. If your quarter has wear, it's probably worth 25 cents to a few dollars, unless it has an error. Coins in decent uncirculated condition can sell for $50 to $500. This is where values jump. Some coins in this range have sold for $5,000 to $50,000. This is the jackpot. If you have the silver-struck 1976 D quarter in near-perfect condition, you could be looking at millions of dollars. With the demand for rare bicentennial coins skyrocketing, the market keeps getting hotter every year. So where can you find one of these legendary coins? If your family has an old coin jar or album, check those quarters. Some collectors still hunt through rolls of quarters from the bank. Many people sell off coins without realizing what they have. Dealers sometimes misprice valuable coins, so always double-check before you buy. Someone found a bicentennial quarter worth $3.3 million. And the crazy part? There could be more out there. Even if you don't hit the jackpot, a high-grade bicentennial quarter could still be worth thousands of dollars. Go check your coins. And if you think you've got something special, let me know in the comments. If you love videos about rare and valuable coins, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. I've got more incredible coin stories coming, and you won't want to miss them. Alright, fellas, let me ask you something. What would you do if you found a single quarter that turned out to be worth $3.4 million? Sounds crazy, right? But believe it or not, a rare 1967 no-mint Mark Washington quarter recently sold for that staggering amount. Now, I know what you're thinking. How can a plain old 25-cent piece be worth more than a house, a luxury car, and a retirement fund combined? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down today. We're going to dive into why this particular quarter is so valuable, how you can tell if you've got one, and what the current market looks like for these rare finds. By the end of this video, you might be tearing through your coin jar, checking under couch cushions, or even raiding that old drawer where you toss your spare change. You're going to want to check. Because the next person to discover one of these could be you. Before we get into the details, let me tell you a quick story. A while back, I was sorting through some old coins, just casually looking for silver quarters. You know, the ones from before 1965 that are 90% silver. Well, I picked up a 1967 quarter, and something about it seemed off. The color looked slightly different, and the details were unusually sharp. But I brushed it off because, well, 1967 quarters aren't supposed to be rare. A few days later, I was talking to a buddy of mine, a serious coin collector, and I casually mentioned the quarter. He told me 1967 quarters can have rare errors and that I should take a closer look. So, I pulled out a magnifier, and sure enough, I saw something unusual, a rare die variety that made the coin different from the rest. My heart started pounding. Could this be one of those legendary error coins? Long story short, I sent it off to be graded, and while mine wasn't the multi-million-dollar version, I still sold it for hundreds of dollars, all from a quarter I almost ignored. How many people out there have a fortune in their pocket and don't even realize it? So, what makes this particular quarter worth millions? The answer lies in a combination of rarity, errors, and condition. First off, 1967 was a weird year for U.S. coinage. The government had just stopped using silver in quarters 2 years earlier, and they were producing coins in massive numbers to keep up with demand. But during this rush, a tiny number of 1,967 quarters were struck with a major minting error, one that makes them ultra-valuable today. Most 1967 quarters were struck on the standard copper-nickel-clad planchet. But a few were mistakenly struck on leftover 90% silver planchets from earlier years. These rare silver quarters from 1967 are worth serious money. On top of that, some 1967 quarters have doubling on the lettering and date, a double die obverse, DDO, error that collectors go crazy for. And when you find a 1967 quarter with both errors, in top condition, you've got the holy grail of Washington quarters. That's the kind of coin that recently sold for $3.4 million at auction. Alright, now let's get to the good stuff, how to check your 1967 quarters to see if you've hit the jackpot. A normal 1967 quarter should weigh 5.67 grams. If your coin weighs closer to 6.25 grams, it could be a rare silver strike error. You can check this with a jeweler's scale, look for doubling on the letters and numbers, grab a magnifier and examine the words Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust, and the date 1967. If you see doubling, you might have a double die obverse error, which can add huge value. A standard 1967 quarter has a copper-colored edge because of its clad composition. But if your quarter has a solid silver edge, it might be a rare silver struck error. Some 1967 quarters were accidentally struck with proof dies, giving them an ultra-shiny, high-detail finish. If your quarter looks unusually sharp and reflective, it could be one of these rare strikes. If you think you have something special, don't guess. Send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC to confirm its value. Now, let's talk numbers. While not every 1967 quarter is worth millions, there are still some valuable ones out there. Regular 1967 quarters in used condition typically sell for $1 to $5. Coins with little to no wear can fetch $50 to $500. These can bring in $1,000 to $10,000, especially if they have strong details and no scratches. If you have a 1967 quarter with a double die error or a silver planchet error, you're looking at values ranging from $10,000 to over $100,000. The one-of-a-kind, silver-struck, double-die quarter in perfect condition is what brought in the record-breaking price, and remember, as more collectors search for these rare errors, prices keep going up. Now that you know what to look for, where can you find a valuable 1967 quarter? You never know what might be hiding in those old stashes. People often sell old coins without realizing their worth. Some collectors still search through bank rolls and find hidden gems. If your dad or grandpa collected coins, now's the time to check. Someone turned a 25-cent quarter into $3.4 million. And the crazy part? There could be more of these out there just waiting to be found. Even if you don't have the $1 million version, a high-grade 1967 quarter could still be worth thousands. So do yourself a favor, start checking your coins, and if you think you found something valuable, let me know in the comments. If you love videos about rare and valuable coins, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. I've got more incredible coin stories coming your way, and you don't want to miss them.